I do every night is think about you. All I do every night is think of you.
Are we lost? Or is this love that I'm feeling? Your burning touch is something.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Shed King. Finally get to put this down for a little while. Since I spoke to you guys last, I haven't done much with the brakes. Had the engineer out. He was in love with it. Thought it was a great design. Everything's going to work. Everything's going to be functional, and it's going to pass. Cost a couple $100 for a pre-inspection. Really worth your while doing it. One, you know that you're not going to weld a bracket in or weld something in its spot and then have to cut it out and redo it. If it's all tacked together, get him out, get an inspection done. Everyone says online, no matter where you look, where you go, that notches aren't engineerable in Queensland. You cannot have a notch on your chassis. Well, I proved this wrong. This guy, Tim, his name is, Dr. Tim's Engineering, I think is his logo. Yeah, Dr. Tim's Engineering. He's on Facebook, he's on the web. Check him out. Really nice guy. He came down and checked out what I had planned, and I told him exactly where everything was going to be. The only thing that he helped me with, that we both sort of agreed on, which was really good, because in my eyes, the only thing I wasn't too sure about was if I was allowed to weld a bracket on top of the notch for the triangulated falling, because you have to keep it at a minimum of 45 degrees. You can go larger, but you have to keep it at a minimum of 45. So that's why I came up with this bracket, which is on top, which you can see in the other video. And also he got me to weld a few things just so he could see, what I can do, what I can't do. And he was really happy with that. Yeah, so that went really well. He was happy with my design for the front end for the coilovers. I showed him the brakes. I showed him where I'm going to route everything, because these things are really important. You can't have your exhaust too close. There's minimum standards where you can't have your exhaust too close to your brake lines. You can't have your exhaust pointing on your wheel, your diff. There's so many things, and he'll run you through them, because everyone's setup is so different. And that's why I sort of don't say do this and do this, because it's not how you do it, because everyone's build is so different to them. You might think, yeah, I want a 4-link and I want this and I want coilovers, and then you go, oh, I want to do it this way. So, I can only help, you point you in the right direction and help you along the lines. So, one thing he did mention, my 5mm brackets are all overkill. So, that was really good to hear that, because he said, find a part on the car that isn't 3mm. And went around and I went, you know what, you're right. The only spot that it does become 6mm is where the chassis actually overlaps. There's two C-sections that overlap and butt welded together, seam welded either side. Now, it's still 3mm underneath there. And I went, you know what, yeah, you're right, you're dead right. So I've kept with the 5mm for the top and the coilovers. Everything else is still 3mm. So you can even do this sidewall 3mm. The thing that you have to remember when you're building any sort of notch or any sort of chassis design, it has to be, the depth of it has to be greater than the actual chassis itself, or match it. Where I've gone bigger, by about 20 odd mil. So the actual notch itself has got more depth. So if you want to keep that in mind when you're sort of planning something like this, that'd be something to really think of. Also, vertical welds on the side of the chassis are frowned upon, mainly because of cracking and stress and whatnot. The main thing that he loved about my whole notch idea was the actual angle of the spears on the end. Now, the greater the angle, the better it's going to work. So, as an engineer's sort of perspective, he just said it's great, it's going to work, it's going to be functional. You should make mass production of these, which I might look into. It's not something I really want to deal with, but yeah, I think I'm really happy with it, and he's happy with it, so it's going to work and it's going to be awesome, and it's going to be road registered and legal. So, you know, the cops aren't going to be able to do anything. Even the transport guys that drive around and do their private inspections can't really do anything if I have an engineer's report. So yeah, everything's really good. Now, moving on, welded. So obviously I welded everything out as I planned. I've taken the axles out. I'm going to use the dust shield off the brake drum on the rear to make my bracket, which will be 3 bolts, and then the caliper will sit here. So I've still got to make that. I'm waiting on my delivery of rotors and pads. So I've got the calipers, I've got everything ready to go except for the rotors and pads. So once I get them, I'll shoot another video on how to do that, or how I did it, either way. I've got to change the diff center. I'm going to pull that out, and then I'm going to do all new bearings and seals. So stay tuned, guys. There's heaps more to come. I'm going to get to the front end build when I get to it, like the actual coilovers and how I'm going to mount everything and etc. No point just at the minute running you through that. But if you have any questions, hit a comment, hit like, and subscribe.
All I do every night is think about you. All I do every night is think of you. All I do every You stay